everyone and welcome back. Today I am painting with these Fluro acrylic paints for an art challenge. I've got 4 Fluro paints here, but I'm also allowing myself a white. This is going to be really fun and I'm excited, so let's get into it. So I'm starting off with a sketch here, and in typical fashion I am using my Fluro colored pencils, and what I wanted to draw today was something a little bit more challenging. I decided I wanted to do a sort of landscape artwork but with Fluro paints because I felt like that would challenge me quite a bit, and oh boy was I correct about that. So I started off painting the lightest part of the artwork and also the biggest area of the artwork, which is the sky. And I allowed myself to use a white along with it because white is not a color, and I felt like I would really need it to, mix colors and just get a little bit more tonal variance than I could if I was just using purely the Fluro paints. So for the sky and the water, because the water pretty much reflects the sky, I used a mix of pink and yellow and white. And after this, I decided it was time to go into the other areas of the painting and do a bit of an underpainting. So I mixed a little bit of the Fluro pink and the Fluro green, which are actually complementary colors, to try and get a brown color. And I was very curious what it would turn out like. And yeah, it's pretty much baby poop brown. And after that, I had to add a lot of green paint because with these paints, a little bit does not go a long way. A lot goes a little way. So I had to pile on that paint just to get it to cover up the other colors. But that actually helped anyways because I really wanted to get a lot of texture in that grass and just try and get a rough texture, I guess. So as I mentioned earlier, these paints are a little bit weird compared to other acrylic paints. They are very, very colorful, but they're also extremely transparent. When I paint it on, you can definitely see the colors underneath, and I feel like I have to paint a very thick layer to get colors to actually, cover other colors. So be mindful of that if you are deciding to try out Fluro paints. They are very fun, but they have some challenges. Let's just say I was very, very glad that I decided to use white along with this because I would have no idea how it would have turned out if I did not use any white. Maybe that's another challenge for me to try in the future, who knows? But yeah, for the darker areas, I had to struggle a little bit because I really wanted to add in some shadows for this artwork, but it wasn't really complying with me, so I had to do lots and lots of layers of that brown color that I mixed, and then after this I would layer other colors over the top to try and tint it towards certain colors. So yeah, these paints definitely tested my color mixing skills and also other painting techniques. As you can see here on some of the rocky brown areas, I had to add a lot of brown, and then after this I would add in some highlights in pink and white, and then after this I would layer a lot of orange over the top to try and skew the hue a little bit away from the baby poop brown color and more towards a nice sunburst browny orange color. But I actually didn't mind this technique really. Once I realized what I had to do and work in a lot of layers, it did remind me a bit more of a gouache paint or a watercolor paint where you have to do multiple layers of glazing. And this is the glazing technique that I use in that quite a bit. And yeah, it definitely helped me a lot. especially in areas where I wanted to change the hues of things, like some areas that were pointing towards the sun. I added a little bit more yellow in those areas, and other areas I added a little bit of pink just to try and change the hue up a little bit and add a little bit of visual interest. And yeah, I actually really like this. This painting is definitely not realistic in any way. I was trying to go for a more surrealist sort of look and a little bit more abstract, because obviously these are not realistic colors, but I really like the feel that it gives. Now I wanted to have a few trees in this artwork because obviously it is a landscape, and as you can see, this tree here is pretty much just a stick in the ground, and I had to layer this so many times just to get the brown to look more solid. And as you can see, in some areas where I've like accidentally gone out of the lines, you can see that the brown is really light and thin when you just put one layer. So I had to layer it on really thick, as you can see here, and just do that constantly until it was a nice dark brown color. Now I have actually read that fluoro colors do glow under a black light, and I've been really curious to see what my painting would look like under a black light. But unfortunately, I just couldn't find any black lights around near me, and I couldn't get one delivered in time. So unfortunately today I won't be able to see what that looks like under a black light. But let me know in the comments below if you want me to try that in a future video, because I'm definitely interested to see what a painting would look like glowing under a black light. I think that would look really cool. So now it's time to add in that little waterfall there, and I pretty much use the exact same technique that I use for the sky and also the water in that little pond or lake. Basically, I grabbed a little bit of white on my brush as well as a few other colors, and I just smeared it in the direction that I wanted the water to flow. And after this, for a little bit of foam on the waterfall, I just dabbed a messy brush just to try and get a nice fluffy water splashing texture. Now to add a few more highlights on the trees, I actually decided, and I was really glad I did this, to add in a layer of white which was going to go over the top of the green, and then I would let that completely dry so that it doesn't mix in with any other paint. And then after this, I would go in with some pure yellow and do basically the same thing over the top. And because the yellow is layered over the top of white, it ends up being super saturated and super bright, and of course opaque because of that white, and it looked really good. I also put that yellow in quite a few other areas as well to unify the piece a little bit so that all of the sort of colors were, you know, kind of similar. A lot of highlights on the rocks and the trees, as well as a lot of yellow in the other tree that I'm finally putting leaves on now. I'm doing this because I want to add a nice bright yellow sun. As you can see, I have painted a white circle, and I've been waiting quite a while for that to completely dry so I can do the same technique where I layer the yellow over the top of that, and it is really, really bright. Now this is definitely not realistic, but I'm not going for realistic today. We are going for wacky colors and interesting feelings, and I really love that pure fluoro yellow sun. I just think it looks so strange in the pink sky there, but I love it. It kind of looks like an alien planet of some sort. Who knows? But yeah, it's time to paint the edges of the canvas now, and here is the final result. And to be honest, I really, really love this painting. I think it is interesting, it is different, and it definitely tested me quite a bit and tested my patience, but I just had to sort of trust the process and get it to somewhere where I was happy, and I think I did that. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know below if you've used fluoro paints before and how you found them, because these were definitely interesting and completely different to any other acrylic paint that I've used. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye everyone.